truth, and mercy. God, we have put out a special prayer tonight for our local government, a special prayer for our national government and our leaders. We pray that you continuously bless our community, bless each commissioner and their families. We ask this in your son, Jesus' name. Amen.
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 And we could do the pledge. I don't know if Michael's got the flag to put up, but I'll start. I pledge allegiance.
Jesus.
You do.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Okay. All right, additions, deletions, and modifications of the agenda for tonight. What we're going to do is we're going to delete the July minutes. We don't need to do that. And we're also going to move, if you look at your agenda, number 9, we're going to go ahead and start with that. We're going to move that all the way up. So second reading of ordinance 20-01, amending the future land use map for parcel number 18-12-28-0000-0150-0000 from commercial to residential low. Application and staff analysis. Anything more to add than you did the first reading? Patrick, you are muted.
Yep.
All right, just got my controls. I have nothing further to add. I don't know if there's anybody new to the meeting that wants to hear, but basically this is a property at the north end of town. Was annexed back in 06-07. Property owners want to add a residential structure for a basic caretaker residence for a family member, and the only way that can is for what in the manner that they're requesting to do it. I believe due to the size of the property, the configuration of the property, and the fact that they're asking for the low density residential land use category, and the fact that there's existing properties nearby that have double residencies, if you will. What they're asking for is reasonable and consistent and appropriate. So staff is recommending recommendation. Staff is recommending approval of the land use change and the rezoning as presented.
All right, is there any additional factual testimony to be given by anybody? Is there any public input? Do I hear a motion?
To move that we accept second reading of ordinance, is that 20-01?
There's been no public input.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, a proper motion, a proper second. All those in favor say aye and raise your hand. Aye.
Aye.
It's
Are we
unanimous.
supposed to ask for discussion after a motion and a second?
Yeah.
I guess you have something to say. Go ahead.
I do. It just occurs to me that all of us commissioners know who Patrick Kennedy is, but we didn't actually introduce him. It might be helpful to say who he is presenting the staff report. Because people who are watching do not know. Okay, here is his picture. They don't know who he is. So.
All right.
Sorry, I'd have my video off.
Right.
Well,
I was
that,
thinking you might introduce Mr. Kennedy and explain who he is. So.
well, just like last time, Mr. Kennedy is going to be helping the city on this and doing the
I'm a former
footwork
city
on,
manager, currently helping out the town with some planning issues.
yeah. So
There you go.
he is presenting this to staff, and we have the second half of this, and that is the second reading of ordinance 20-02, rezoning of parcel number 18-12-28-0000-0150-0000 from general commercial GC-1 to multifamily, which is MR1.
Mayor, I
yes.
don't want to interrupt you. You had a motion on the floor for the first ordinance?
We didn't vote.
Did we not? I thought we all raised our hand.
No,
No.
it was
We had
interrupted.
discussion.
Kind of did, but it got mucked up a little, so.
Yes,
Okay.
just for clarity.
All right. Let's go back to 9A. We have a proper motion, a proper second. All those in favor say aye. Raise your hand.
Aye.
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 And it is unanimous. I've read the second reading for ordinance number 20-02, application, staff analysis. Anything more to add, Patrick?
No, this is a companion rezoning, multifamily, which also allows for single-family residents, but will allow them to have more than one, which is their goal, to have a
Okay.
second house.
Is there any additional factual testimony to be given on this property? Is there, Michael, do we have any public input?
We do not.
And is there any commissioner which wishes to speak? Hearing none, do I hear a motion?
I move. on
I'll
20
second.
Okay, so there's a motion to pass the second reading of ordinance 20-02. All those in favor say aye and raise your hand. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And it is unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm gonna log out now.
Okay,
Bye.
Hi, Patrick.
all right. So we're gonna go back up to number 7. The city commission meeting minutes from August 13th, 2020. You have it in your packet. Everyone's had a chance to read it. If there is no comments, is there a motion?
Well, actually, there's a comment.
Go ahead, Commissioner Vito.
Okay, well, you spoke first.
No, you go ahead.
Okay, great. Down on page 1, regarding the approval of the minutes of July 19th, about halfway down the page where it says motion by Commissioner Kane DeVito, second by Commissioner Banks, to accept and approve the minutes from July. And there's actually a little typo in there. Here it says July 19th. It's actually July 9th, which is up above. So I'm
All right,
saying we should change that to July 9th. And then as well, it says to accept and approve the minutes from July, whatever, with the commissioner's stated change. That would be me, but it doesn't say what the change was. So it doesn't really say anything. And the change was, I think we should, after the word change, we should say on page 3, paragraph 9, to reflect Attorney Asbury asked for approval to obtain assistance with review of the draft code magistrate ordinance, period. And that's what the change was. So,
Michael, did I hear your voice?
No.
Okay,
so I would move that we accept the minutes, correcting July 19th to July 9 and saying what the stated.
as long as the tapes confirm the requested change, I have no objection.
Well, that was the issue, because sometimes when you make changes to minutes at the meeting, we have to go verify them. And that's really what that was about with the stated change. So we want to just verify that statement.
Right. I looked at it today. But that's fine. I have no objection, but it just says stated change. It doesn't say what the stated change was.
I second the motion.
Thank you, Harry.
All right, any further discussion? All those that approve, say aye.
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 Dissent, say no. Okay, and it passes. All right. Moving on. We have general business, resolution 20-07, adopting the millage for tax year 2020, which is 8.5914, I believe. We had voted on that previously to not go above that, so we are going to keep that. Do I hear a motion?
I so move.
Second.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Gotcha.
All those that approve, say aye.
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 All right. Dissent, say no. Thank you. Resolution 20-08, St. John's River Water Management District waiver of fees for fiscal year 2021. This is what we do every year, ever since I've been here. And it's usually approved from St. John's Water Management. Do I hear a motion on that?
I so move.
Oh, okay. May I second?
Go ahead.
Okay, so we have a proper motion, a proper second to pass resolution 20-08. Any discussion?
Just an observation for people who don't know. It's my understanding that we're entitled to this reduction in fees because we're a small municipality with a population of 25,000 persons or less. And as long as we apply for it, we obtain it. So we're getting a benefit that we're entitled to save us money.
Anybody else? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Disapprove, say no. All right, carries unanimously. Resolution 20-09, budget amendment for general fund. And that is 8C in your packet. Do I hear a motion? I'd like to get a motion and then we'll talk about it. Do I hear a motion for that?
I so move.
Second.
Okay,
Question.
okay, Commissioner Banks has a second. Any discussion on 20-09 resolution for amendment to the general fund? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All those that disapprove say no. And the ayes have it. Thank you. Resolution 20-10, budget amendment for the gas fund. Do I have a motion for that, for discussion?
I
I
move.
so move. I'll second.
Okay,
Come here, baby.
a motion by Commissioner Banks, a second by Commissioner West. Any discussion on the resolution of the Commission of the City, Crescent City, authorizing amendment to the fiscal year 2019-2020 gas fund budget?
Well, I think it would be a good idea, especially for the people at home, just to say how much it's for and what it was for.
Go ahead.
Well, this is a budget amendment for $86,800. It was for expense that wasn't fully budgeted, but was necessary for use of renewal and replacement reserve to cover expenses. It was repairs to gas lines that were very much needed. And we approved that repair last year and the work has been done, correct?
Correct.
It's in progress.
Okay. Oh, it's in progress. Okay, but it's very important repair work.
And this is coming out of the gas,
Gas.
the gas company reserves.
Or
All right. So we have a proper motion, a proper second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you. Okay. That's pretty quick. All right. So we're down to first reading of the ordinance 20-03, an ordinance providing for, approving and fixing the budget, setting the millage rate at 8.5914, allowing for general operations of the city, its various departments, and approving and fixing budgets for special funds and debt service for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2020, and ending September 30th, 2021. And anyone who was listening to our workshop, that was what this was about. So do I hear a motion?
I so move.
Second.
Proper motion and proper second. Thank you. Any further discussion?
Yes, I have an amendment to the motion. My amendment is to, for line 341 for tree maintenance, to apply any amount of this year's $15,000 that was not expended in the current fiscal year to be carried forward to allow unmet needs in tree care to be done.
What was that number again, please?
341.
I believe it's
341.
line
Tree maintenance. Gotcha. So if I'm hearing you correctly,
Right.
Any leftover funds you want from this budget for the trees to be forwarded to the next year's budget of $5,000.
Right. And
Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes. And the rationale for that is in the current year's budget, we added $10,000 to the usual $5,000 for tree maintenance because there was a backlog of care and maintenance for some of the heritage oak trees that still remains. We always have a backlog. We've underfunded the tree maintenance budget for many years. And prior residents of the city have explained this to us. So I think if we are not using what was allocated because we simply did not get a chance to do the work, that we should carry that forward.
Okay. And you talked about this in the budget workshop as well.
I did.
Okay, we have to vote on the amendment before we vote on the main motion. So does anyone have any comments or questions about the amendment to the budget or to the motion?
No, but if I would just add that we have the rest of that money that we do have, I do have things that we need to get done to take care of tree maintenance and things. So I guess if there is any money left over, that it can be carried over to that.
Okay. Because it's going to be spent on that anyway. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else? All right. Hearing no more discussion on the amendment to the main motion.
By the way,
Say again.
just as a note, we're gonna have to adjust the carry forward.
Yes, because you have to have something to offset it with. If you raise your expenses, you got to raise your revenue. So we'll have to raise the carry forward by that.
Okay.
Yes.
But that'll be adjustment we'll make if that's the case.
Okay. All right. On the amendment to carry forward any leftover funds from the tree fund to this year's, actually 2021 budget is the amendment. All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
I
Okay, all those disagree, say no. I'll say no. And it carries. So that is now part of the amendment to the main motion, and that is to pass the budget, which is the 20-03. All right. And we have a proper motion and a proper second. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you. All right. Moving on to, are we getting down that far? Additional reports and comments. You've got your report, Michael.
I do. So I will report on where we're on projects and a couple other items that we have. CDBG grant. I'll be happy to report that we finally got our 2 dead trees replaced. We are in the process of just closing that out. So we're pretty much done with all of that work for that project.
And that's Harry Banks Park, right?
Correct. It's Harry Banks Park. That was the CDBG grant was for Harry Banks Park and for Bay and Green to be repaved.
Bay Lane. Okay.
So that's that. The next thing is we have the demo of 105 Cypress Avenue. Since we've awarded the bid, we have a contractor. They started to do a little bit of work this week already. They're going to start Monday. They're going to be starting from the back side of the building, so you're really not going to see any disturbance in the street area. It'll start with removal of some asbestos items, and then they'll see the demo. They're going to try to do it. It should only be a couple of days here and there, a couple of days next week with the asbestos, and then they'll come in and do the demo. So that should start that and wrap that up. Sidewalk project, DOT sidewalk project with the county, that is winding down. That has a few more weeks to go. So we'll be happy when that's done. Ball field lights. We got the bid back. We only had received one bid. I've discussed this with everybody. We received one bid, and the bid to replace the lights out there was almost $200,000. That was way more than what we expected, what we budgeted for. To have a solution for that. I had spoken with the county, and we have a beautiful fields up here, South Putnam Sports Complex, and talked to them. And I had gotten them in touch with the woman who was running or coordinating the Pop Warner to see if we can coordinate that for the upcoming year, because they do have lights on those fields up there. So that's where we are with that. I think we did have a public comment on that, Deb. If she's there.
Yes, I'm here. I'm sorry. I didn't unmute fast enough. Yes, we do have a public comment. This is from Lee Dandridge, and it reads, as I end my journey trying to get lights for your Crescent City kids, I find it amazing the amount of people who are reaching out to help me raise money for our kids. I'm disappointed with the one bid that was not as high as I was told, and feel if anyone really cared, they would have reached out personally to local companies. Also sad that no one has tried to come up with a solution like renting lights from Palatka just to provide some light for these kids. Concerns me the lack of solutions. I'm sure if it were an agenda that matters more would have been done. Bathrooms stay locked due to COVID while schools are open, not getting temp checks, while I temp check all of my athletes. Meanwhile, I have children having to run to the store to use a bathroom. I have exhausted all ideas to help, even clean bathrooms. It's a shame. Just my thoughts. Makes me wonder how much less these kids would have without me advocating for them. Shame. That concludes the.
Can I ask, why are they playing at night?
Because it's after school.
And I think, Mayor, if I could add to that, is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. I think also the volunteers that organize this have day jobs and they're not available until later.
My comment is, Jay Asbury will back me up on this. When our boys were that age, we did all day Saturdays out at the field. Remember the teams you sponsored one and we sponsored one, but we didn't have lights out there, but we used Saturday and late, maybe summers in the afternoons and Saturdays.
Were you asking me, Judy?
No, I was just
Okay.
saying that, is it a possibility to be that they use Saturdays?
That could be. Leah Dandridge, she's come to a lot of the commission meetings, and she'd come up every single meeting asking about lights. And we finally budgeted, I think, $75,000. And we did do due diligence. We put the bid out twice, I believe. And we thought maybe if we use our existing poles that we could get replacement lights in that ballpark as far as price range, and it was more than double that. We're disappointed. I know she's disappointed, but we tried. And as far as the bathrooms, maybe that's a different issue. But as far as the lights are concerned, I think we went. I don't know if above and beyond is too far, but we liked her and we appreciate what she's doing for these kids, and but we can't be spending $200,000 for lights that would be on for 2 months out of the year. So even the county is not fixing their lights. They had a price. I talked to somebody. It was over $300,000 for the YMCA field there to fix their lights. So they volunteered. I reached out to them, and Michael did, to allow them to use those fields and those lights until the end of September. But it's my understanding, she declined to do that. So I know she's disappointed, but I think we did everything we could, and I wish we could do more.
Yeah, Mayor, I think all of us, more also. But, you know, I know it concerning the kids, and she really is very interested in the kids.
Yep, yep.
But the city just don't have no $200,000 right now to go towards lights.
Right,
I wish we could.
right.
Maybe in the future.
Yep.
Maybe in the future that we can, if she can get a committee to get together
Right.
with our city manager and mayor, and try to find somebody. If we buy some lights,
Right, right.
the proper lights that need to go on the poles, and use the same pole. From my understanding, when we first discussed it, that's the way we were looking at it.
Yeah. And the lights we have,
But Commissioner Banks,
Yes,
that's what the bid went out for. New lights on the existing poles.
it's imposed on.
Yes.
and it's not a matter of just changing the bulbs, you know, the wiring and the,
All that got to be changed.
you know, it's out in the weather. It's been out in the weather for decades. So it's not just as simple as screwing in new bulbs. All that electrical stuff would have to be changed.
Yeah,
And I understand these bulbs are hard to find anymore.
it got to be totally rewired. No, we were talking about putting new bulbs. My understanding when we first discussed it, putting the
LED.
LED lights on the poles what is in place.
Right.
Right.
Now
Right. That was the bid. That was the
Yeah.
bid.
Oh, that was the bid?
That was
Yes.
the bid for our poles to put new lights on it.
New
Right,
lights on.
but Mayor, if I could
Yes.
clarify something, and I'd have to go back and look at the minutes, but I'm pretty sure. There's three things that concern me about this. One, I understand our lights are old, but I think when we originally proposed the $75,000, we had some cost estimate, and I think we originally said to put the bid out for just 3 poles because they don't need the whole softball field. But the bid was put out for 6 poles so it could light the whole softball field, which they do not need. Secondly, when Lee originally came to us, and she is a working mother with a full plate, plus this volunteer work, she had a possibility of donations, but we kind of pushed that aside and said, we'll go out for bids. So she had a solution. Her volunteers and donations, unfortunately, personnel have changed at the companies where she did the outreach and had the ability for donations, and we chose not to go that route. So I understand why she's frustrated because we kind of cut that off. And secondly, you know, it's been almost, thirdly, sorry, can't count. It's been almost a whole year, and we really gave her to understand that this was going to work out. And I would like to see us be more realistic in the future, because the truth is, she's probably going to move on from this. She's put a lot of time in, and I just think we should be more realistic and not hold out hope to volunteers if there's a thought that it might not come through. I just feel very badly about this, and I wish that we had looked into what she's suggesting about renting lights. And the other thing is, after the bids came in, apparently someone went and told her about the bids, and it's been all
I
over
did.
Well,
I
it's been-
personally met with her
Okay,
and sat down with her and had a personal conversation with her because I think she deserved that, and basically told her what I told you all, and that's kind of where we're at. So I
Right.
know she's disappointed. I believe the bid was for replace the lights on the 3 poles. Was that not the
No,
case?
no, let's just let's clear this up. First of all, the budget's not 75,000, it was 50,000.
Okay,
70, yeah, no, that was very clear. 75,000, that line item is 25,000 for the demo, 50,000 for the lights.
okay,
So that's been in there, okay? Whatever happened before I was here with getting, and I talked to Lee also, all of this stuff that happened well before I got here with getting volunteers and getting lights, that wasn't going to happen before I got here. So the solution to try to go out to bid, if you're going to light a field, let's light the whole field. Let's not just light 3 things. It can be used for softball, baseball, whatever, because it's the only field we have. Okay. So that was what we went out for the bid for. It was to replace the lights there with LED, new technology, new wiring, get a box that we can control it, get a timer that's working so we can control when the lights go on, off and on. Then when that didn't work out because the bids came out so high, even if we go down to 3 lights, you're still not going to cut that bill in half.
Right.
And I said, I talked to the county, they're getting for the same price, but they're also getting concrete poles. That is almost twice more than $300,000. So
Right.
that's what we are. The solution was to work with the county. The county said they would accommodate. We even talked to a commissioner on the board, and he said that they would accommodate this year. Maybe next year we needed to look at something, but that's where we were this year. So the option was there to use the fields. They have lighted fields at the ball fields, and they could use them. So
I talked with her also, and she was telling me that the soccer kids have taken up all the time at that field, so they can't even use it.
well, I talked to Commissioner Pickens, and he said they would accommodate them. I also talked to the director, and he
Right.
said they would accommodate them. Now, next year, that's a different story. We'd have to look at that, but
All right, I would like to make another comment. I never felt like we were going to be able to afford this because I know it's astronomically high. But I do have a possible, not a immediate solution, but if we can put 50,000 aside this year and maybe another, 2, 3, 4 years aside and eventually get it done. I rode by Banks Park a couple times this last week. There are a lot of kids out there using it. We have a lot of soccer now that we didn't used to have, and we still have baseball and football going on for our kids, and there's not a whole lot more. I'd like to see the lights put up. We need to use LED or we're not going to be able to afford them at all. And what's the possibility? What do you want to do? Do you want to put aside so much money for the next 3, 4 years to get the lights done?
I'll second that.
I'll table that. I can't do that. So
Well, it's actually in the budget that we just passed, I believe. There's a footnote that says
correct. It's still there.
$75,000.
We weren't taking it out.
Pardon?
We weren't taking it out. We were leaving it in there.
Right, so what Judy has suggested, I was gonna say that in the budget workshop, the $75,000 is still in there from Better Place Plan. We did not remove it.
50,000, sorry. 50,000.
Well, I don't know. There's some money. I thought it said 75.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
Whatever it is, it's there.
If you
the
look
demo is
I just-
25,000.
just for clarity, it's 50,000. I'm just saying we'll keep it in there. And it is in there, so.
Okay, I don't even think we need to make that a decision right now. If we can
Oh,
get
we
it
made
I
it.
agree. I
and
agree.
just hold it, we can talk about it later. We
It-
can't
it
do
all-
anything this year about fixing those lights. We
Okay.
just simply don't have the money.
All right. Anybody else on the lights? We'll have Michael move on. Go ahead,
Okay.
Michael.
Next, we have the FDOT Central Avenue paving project. We went out and we had to advertise for construction engineering services or inspection engineering services. We put that out. We have to put that out for 30 days. As soon as we get that back, I'll put that in front of you. As soon as we get all the, we put out a request for qualifications for the project. As soon as we get that back, I'll put that in front of you for approval, and then we can move forward with that. Next item I have is Colbert Park Fountain. We finally had the fountain delivered. I think it was on a slow paddle boat down the Mississippi.
Yes.
But it's finally here. We're now just waiting on parts because we need to run the water line and we're going to put a meter out there. So as soon as we get that, I'm anticipating in the next week or so, and that should be done. Okay.
Sound good.
Speed humps. We ordered signs for the speed humps. I think people don't realize once you put speed humps in, you need to put up appropriate signs like we have on Bay and Walnut. The signs are in. We're just waiting for the asphalt company. We're hoping that's going to be done next week. So.
Have you got signed yet, Michael?
We have the signs. Yes, we do.
Oh, good. That's good.
So we will be ready to go on that. Water tower, just to give you an update on what's going on in the water tower, we had the patch on the north tower and we're waiting on, we had work done on the tower over at Sunrise that I guess we had an electrical strike. We had some equipment failure that regulates how much water's in there, but we've been monitoring it. And we've had that equipment going in. It's going in today and tomorrow. And then should be ready to get another crew over there and permanently patch the North Tower. So other than that, system's running fine. And anything else, I'll keep you up to date on.
Sound good.
Right.
You understand there were 3 shots fired at the other water tower on the northwest part of town. One hit the water tank, one the area which has the computer that runs it. And the third one, don't know where that went to.
I don't. Well, one of them is a projectile with the North Tower. The other one was other equipment down the block, but it didn't have to, it wasn't affecting the utility system.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to the Public Works that came in after that water failure we had a couple of weeks ago and stayed and got that up and running. And there was a lot to that. They had to open up fire hydrants, I guess, in order to get the air pressure out and to get the pumps running again because everything was vapor locked. And then someone had to stay, or at least they had to monitor and have the pumps manually turned on every 2 hours around the clock. So, you know,
Thank
you've got-
them
you-
very,
you've got
very much.
you've got a great team that
Yes,
sticks with
very
that.
good.
And my hats are off to them. Thank you so much.
Yeah, very good team.
Everyone likes to complain, you know, and I understand, but you know, some folks worked through the night on that, and I personally, and I know we all do, really, really appreciate it.
Right. And they appreciate hearing that. They really do because of all of their hard work. So thank you.
All right. Michael, you have anything else?
I don't. Water tower. That was it. The coordinator position.
For the CRA?
The CRA, the redevelopment coordinator.
Yeah.
I've only gotten one resume and they did not qualify. They did not have an of experience. I actually talked to that person.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't qualify. Their background for all these years had been in architecture and something else. So, but I thank them and I'm hopeful that we'll get somebody. So it hasn't been out there that long. So.
Okay. Do we have to re-advertise or just leave it out there?
It's open till filled.
Okay.
Right.
Commissioner DeVito.
Thanks. About the econ development position, Michael, where all is that advertised? I know we talked about the Redevelopment Association website and I saw it on there.
Our League of Cities.
Okay.
We put it on our website.
Okay. Okay. Any place else? Like, do we have it on? Well, and you had talked about maybe we would get a firm. Is it possible that we could reach out to firms that do that work?
Sure. And I've asked around to try to see if we can get some names of some firms that would do that.
Okay. As well, going back up, Mayor, if I have a couple more questions on different topics. Could I ask about the speed bumps?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, great. Okay, so where exactly are the speed humps going?
I've gone through this before. So we're going to one, yes, we've talked about one on Grand Rondo and one on South Main and one on North Main. And I'll know exactly where when we come out and put the asphalt.
And North Main, okay. Because I was hoping that we would at least solicit some suggestions from the residents.
We're going to do that when we go forward with it. Like I said, let's get these in place right now, and then we'll solicit where people look to have speed bumps, and then we'll take it from there.
Right, but these 3 are going to be put in locations without any public input whatsoever, correct?
We've talked with Public Works. I've had the police chief who's right here. We've talked about areas where people are speeding, and that's where we've had incidents or
people complaining
where we have it. And it also not disruption of being near someone's driveway and things like that. So I thought those are some good places to start and get people accustomed to them, because you see it on Bay. If you go on Bay or you go on Walnut, it is a surprise if you go down there and you don't read those signs. You know, it is a wake up that you come across a speed hump and that you are speeding or you're going too fast for there. So once
I
again,
know. I was, okay. I just want to know what the basis is for them to go in. And obviously it's good to be considerate of the driveways and whatnot. But I think people were, and obviously if it's based on complaints. And then the other thing that I just wanted to touch base with you about is the progress on the mulching for the grand oak trees in Colbert Park and Eva Lyons Park. And you're going to, you said you were going to give me the name of a possible source of wood chips, correct?
yes, I've stated that before. So yeah.
Right. And also Commissioner West noticed in the arborist report that there was a recommendation to put Tensar fabric down. It's actually GeoGrid. I talked to you about that. I have the research. I did the research on where to get that. There's a company in Sanford. So I will give that to you.
All right. Anybody have any more questions on Michael's report?
Mike, I like to say this. Michael,
Yes, sir.
You're doing a good job.
Yes, Michael, you're doing great. Yep.
Good job.
Oh, Michael.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're really in your stride now. City departments, I see the natural gas. I don't know if that's David Frank is up or what, but anyway, we have.
Are you going to skip city attorney?
No, I thought I didn't see the dog, so I thought
It was his relaxed posture on camera.
I'm sorry. Yes.
No, I don't have anything. I guess we're taking up the magistrate ordinance at the next meeting, so
Okay.
we'll go from there unless you folks have some questions for me. I won't take up your time tonight.
Okay.
Actually,
Commissioner DeVito.
yes, I do have a question. I think we talked about this in the budget workshop because I talked to Michael this morning for the budget. Whatever, it was my understanding before we went forward with the magistrate ordinance and also for the budget, we would have some realistic cost estimates as to what the cost would be for the magistrate services.
Am I to make that determination?
Well,
I'll be glad to try.
I thought, well, because I would also be interested. That's what Michael said to me this morning, that the cost estimate would be coming from you. And as well, I would be interested in knowing before we take up the ordinance, if you could share with us, you had mentioned there are some cities where it works well. It would be nice to have a couple of examples. But I do think we need a realistic cost for it before we get it going. How much we gonna spend?
Yeah, I guess it'd be a kind of a swag because you're not putting it out for bid.
And maybe we would need to.
Do we have a budget for that for next year?
Say that again. I'm
Do
sorry.
we have that as a line item budget for a magistrate?
No, right now we're gonna take it out of Jay's budget. He's got funds.
That's right.
aside.
Okay.
Yeah, which we discussed.
Oh, but then I don't care. Yeah.
So, but I want, Mayor, if I could,
Yes.
I don't want us to get out of the frying pan into the fire. We have discussed how much we think it might cost, but I think before we pass an ordinance, before we get rid of the code for, that we know how much.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. We're talking about
Could be
quarterly, so we're talking about 4 magistrate coming down here for 4
Meetings a year.
meetings. Whatever you would call that, where he would opine on what is brought before him. So I can't imagine it being too horribly much, even if it's say $500 each time he came. I'm just pulling that out of thin air.
Well, Mayor and
That's
everybody,
what we don't want to do.
we'll get those numbers together before
Okay.
we do that, because once again, that's part of the equation with the magistrate. So
Mhm,
get
mhm.
those numbers together prior to the next meeting.
Okay.
And another thing, Mayor, to consider, it's a trail that none of us have gone down before. And so much would depend on how active code enforcement was.
Right.
If there's 2 cases a year, probably be pretty cheap. If somebody started being active in code enforcement, or we changed philosophy and wanted our code enforcement people to be more active, it may be more expensive. Something I can't really determine, but I'll find out the basics.
Okay. Sounds good.
All
right.
And Mayor, we were distributed the Attorney Asbury's foreclosure recommendations. It was my understanding we were going to talk about them today.
Is that in my packet?
It was sent to you online.
Okay.
We got an email.
Okay. I'll have to look. All right.
Were we intending to take that up today?
Not that I know of, because I know we talked about putting it on the agenda. I mentioned putting it on the agenda last month, and I thought Jay was going to speak about that. And Jay, you had 2 recommendations when you initially talked about this almost a year ago. Is that correct?
Well, I had 2 that I thought the city may come out on, and I think that's in my recommendations. There's 3 that's iffy,
Right.
and actually all 5 are iffy. It really depends on if the city has a plan for the properties, or if it fits in any of our plans, or whether or not we are able to resell it. The property on Central Avenue, the Barberich property,
Mm-hmm.
that's the property with the most liens against it, and also probably the most legal issues involved. But of course, if we ended up successful in that effort, that in my opinion, would result in the city coming out on a not a profitable end, but recoup our money, and it would be a property worth controlling. But to get to the end of the day, there we're spending some money.
Yeah. Would that be demoed or sold, or what would happen once we got control of it?
I really don't know, because that old building is built like it's built like the old buildings were. It was built to stay there, but it was fashioned for not a building that you would want unless you could turn it into Brett's Bar and Grill, or something, the old time Kitty's Saloon or something. I don't know. I haven't even thought about that, but it was a dry cleaner's business forever. And
Yes, it was.
It's got the old wood floors in it. Somebody with imagination and a lot of money could probably end up with a nice looking establishment, but goodness gracious, that's way above my pay grade to know what would work there or what wouldn't.
You know, at Baltimore many years ago, we had a mayor, William Donald Schaefer, Mayor Schaefer, and they had all these row homes that they had that were basically shells. They had been closed up and so on. The city took them over, and they had all kinds of them. And the mayor had a great idea. We'll sell them for $1 if you agree to put in, say, $100,000 or $60,000, whatever it was at the time, to rehab it. And the city ended up with revitalizing and getting those homes back on the tax rolls. And it was a win-win-win, because you got rid of an eyesore and you provided a dwelling for somebody, and it helped the neighborhoods and everything else, then that might be something to consider too. Because it's really not, at the end of the day, about making money. Well,
Right.
I mean, maybe not losing money, but I mean, if we sold something like that with the agreement, somebody, had enough money to put into it and agreed to do that, that might be something worth considering in the future.
Mayor, if I could,
Commissioner DeVito.
thank you. I think you said something very important. I actually talked to Patrick Kennedy about this about a year ago. That model that you're describing in Baltimore has been done for both residential property and commercial property in Tampa, Florida, in downtown Tampa. And you're absolutely right. It's not about making a profit. It's about finding somebody to revitalize a particular property. So I think you just raised something that we should really think about and find a way to do something like that here. And it could be commercial or residential.
Right. That would also part of that redevelopment coordinator position. That's something else that they would be involved heavily with.
Do we want to table that at this time, or until we get a coordinator?
Let's do that.
Might I say just one thing, Mayor?
Yes, sir.
My initial thought process when I looked at those 5 properties was probably the cheapest to get into, but I don't know how it works out in the end for us. There's a property down on Grand Rondo, a small lot that backs up to another lot. I believe it's on Florida, and that could make one piece of property. And of course, Grand Rondo in that area down on Lake Stella, even though it's on the east side of Grand Rondo, that area I think to me has always been a pretty area. I mean, something that somebody with some imagination could do something with. And I thought 2 lots together, maybe we could come out down there.
Right.
Quite frankly, you all have to think about this very seriously, because in any event, you're spending money, and it's and you're in the thousands. And listen to y'all debate on who to give money to or what to do with it. Crescent City's tight, and
I think we need some advice, professional advice, maybe. Not legal advice, but I mean,
Right.
revitalization or rehabbing.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, well, I would agree that we should table it until we can get that advice. Jay has taken it as far as he can go. He's let us know what the difficulties are and the costs and foreclosing on these properties. And so he's saying we need to get the other part of the equation. What can we do with it? So I think that's a great way to go.
I agree with that also.
Yep.
Well, let's wait.
Okay. And does anyone have any other questions for Jay, or Jay, you have anything else?
You go into the commissioner's comments?
I'm going to go to the city departments and then to the commissioner. So
Okay.
Do we have any department reports?
We do. I have the police chief here.
Okay.
Can you hear Chief Carmen?
Speak again, Chief.
Can you hear me from here, Mayor?
Yeah, you're a little low, but you're okay.
I got it. Good evening, Mayor and members of the commission. How are we doing tonight?
Good.
Fine.
I'm incognito here with
I was going to say, you got your dark glasses on?
no computer problems. I'll get it taken care of as soon as I'm done. Mayor, we had a couple calls I just want to go over real briefly. One was, one was a burglary of a dwelling at 800 West Grand Rondo. Basically, the suspect went into a unlocked garage and removed some tools and items like that, lawnmower equipment, that kind of stuff. Once again, it was an unlocked garage. Not that anybody should be burglarized, but we asked people to take precautions, lock your doors, that kind of stuff.
Right.
We got a larceny. This one's kind of animal lovers are not going to like my next comment. Maybe Jay heard it was an animal. What was it? Anyway, say 718 North Prospect Street. Someone stole the victim's French bulldog from her front yard.
Where?
It was on North Prospect Street, a French bulldog. It was described, and the reason I want to talk about this, just as anybody sees, it was a black French bulldog with one eye missing, and it answers to the name of Stella. And I'm not being funny. I really pissed me off that someone stole somebody's dog. But the victim believes it was taken by her brother, who had just got out of the inmate facility, local jail. She's not able to tell us where he lives as of yet. She's trying to find out where he's living so we can follow up on it. She had no video surveillance so that we could look out and make sure. She did stress to us that this, she's had her animal, her dog, for quite a while, and it doesn't have a history of running off. So she believes it to be a larceny. So we had an aggravated assault at 315 Myrtle Avenue. We responded to a disturbance between two parties, several people in both parties. Well, the one guy showed up at the house and he brandished a firearm and he threatened to shoot the victim. He then pushed the victim down, who was a female, and she was pregnant, and it was pretty obvious she was pregnant. So it enhances the penalty. The subject who did it, he was charged with aggravated battery, aggravated assault, and several other charges because there were children who had witnessed this. DCF was called, and that case is cleared. Another disturbance we had was at 804 Randolph Street. I don't really talk about disturbances, but we're having quite a few of them right now. They're spiking. I don't know if it's due to the COVID, people going crazy, just being stressed out, or the heat we've been dealing with. But anyway, this one here was male and female who knew each other. The female victim wasn't totally cooperative with us. She stated that the subject entered her home and dragged her out of the home and battered her. That again, we cleared that. He was gone before our arrival, but we're going through the warrant process and charges were signed. So that case is going to be cleared. Like I said, we've been, I put a note down to remind you, I just talked about disturbances are just a little high this month. And I just think it's the heat and the COVID and everything we've been dealing with, people being stressed out. So there's another thing I want to talk about real quick, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
These large parties we're having, we're looking at other alternatives rather than, I talked to Captain Woods, I talked to some other of my colleagues, and bringing in all these law enforcement officers is getting to be quite, and everybody's at the end of the year, the budget is getting to be quite costly.
Right.
The protest in Palaca, it cost the sheriff's office a tremendous amount of overtime. So we reached out to some other agencies, starting to do some interlocal agreements with other agencies. One is in your box. I know you're leaving for you to sign with the, I got in touch with the Florida Police Chiefs Association, see what the other small cities are doing, if maybe we can get a task force, any ideas we can do. And we're going to start doing some interlocal agreements with other agencies than just counting on the sheriff's office and Palaca and the smaller agencies. The Chief Graham from Ocala PD, he's our local rep for our district for the Police Chiefs Association. He even agreed to sign a MOU with us. It would basically be one-sided. We would get help from him. He understands we wouldn't be able to send resources back to his big agency. We also have been in contact with the state's attorney's office about this. If there's other ways of, it's extremely dangerous for our officers to go in there and try to break these up or make arrests at the time. But if there's, Ken Jensick is looking at ideas of where we can charge these guys even after the fact. So I just want to let you know that we are looking at other options and just trying to use this with brute force and manpower, because that's starting to be expensive.
Right.
Juveniles, our local problem juvenile, that was a problem when I got here, and our crime rate totally went down. one of the things I want to mention is our UCR for the next quarter is going to go up compared to what it was because of him. But he was arrested, as I'm pretty sure you know. But the local juvenile, we finally got a hold of him. Our one-man crime wave. He got brought back down to Daytona. It was on some warrants. And if I was on, I have a stack of paper that I'm not in my office that I was going to show you with the amount of charges and the work detailed and entailed that we did on this guy. And hopefully this will stop it. You know, it's a sad fact because this kid could probably be playing pro ball if he would put his talents to use. Hold on a second. Instead of not using it for good, guidance. We even talked to former Chief Johnson about this kid, and he tried to take him under his wing and have him play football, and it just didn't work. It wasn't we threw up our hands, but he's back in jail. He may be arrested. He may be charged as although these crimes all happened as a juvenile, he may be charged as an adult, and there are quite a few of them. So hopefully that will solve a lot of our issues. Talking with the captain, they been getting hit with some car brakes and stuff up in the north Palaca and Pomona Park area of the county. I think it was our suspect. I think working together with them, they may clear up some of their cases on our information. So working with them hand in hand seems to work out pretty well. Another thing I want to touch on is a couple things besides, just cases. I want to give just a hats out to Cindy with the building that, is being destroyed, or, I don't know the name of the building, whatever it is down there. But
the old clinic
with all the records in there. It took us 2 days, but we went ahead and cleaned out the old records. It's a record purge came out to 96 cubic yards of records,
Wow.
which is quite a bit for the Crescent City Police Department. We'll be able to explain that these records have to be logged. These records have to be kept forever. If I didn't have Cindy helping me with it, I'd probably still be in there because it's more of a process than just shredding these things. There are records you need to keep for a year, some for 7, some for 4, and some you can never get rid of. I was speaking with our
4,000 pounds.
4,000. Finance director said 4,000 pounds of records between all of us. One of the things when I was talking with her, I found out that these things have not been purged in well over 23 years. That's not good. Okay. So some of the records were from the 1970s. And,
I remember walking through there, Chief, 5 years ago, and there were boxes and boxes, and some of them were the monthly mileage on a particular police vehicle from God knows when, and we were still holding on to that.
Well, the thing with this, Mayor, is it's not as easy as people think, where you're just going, okay, we can shred these. We actually have to document it. We have to have a report, and it goes to the Division of Library, and FDLE will get a yearly report on what we purge. So they may question why such a purge, because yearly, this goes in a yearly report. They haven't had one probably in about 20 years. So it would probably be easy to explain. But we will make sure that doesn't happen again, where it gets that backed up. Because like I said, it's not just shredding them. Like I said, she put a lot of work into it. And I want everyone to give a little hats off to Cindy. She made it easy.
It's a thankless job. Yep.
And then just a quick thing for training, all members of the sheriff's office, all members of the police department went down. We got our yearly range qualifications. It's a little hot out there, but we got it done. Thanks to we used one of our reserves who's a training officer. So it took that. We did a little training besides just shooting, even in the heat. And thanks to Chief Shaw, he lets us use his police range. We have a mutual aid agreement with him. So that was all done with just members of the Crescent City Police Department. And unless it's any questions, that about wraps up my report, boss.
Okay, anyone have, yes, go ahead, Commissioner Banks.
Chief, it was brought to my attention, and I'm going to mention some of the other things that brought my attention through my commissioner remarks, that people is destroying and taking people's signs, campaign signs down and move them. If code enforcement move those signs, don't they try to contact the individuals who the sign belongs to? I'm talking about local now, local, the local people. It's terrible the way things.
The
People
ones that Pam has gone out and taken quite a bit of signs. You know, with the city manager, you know, we made it clear that we're not going to destroy anybody's signs. They're expensive. We placed them behind the police department, separated them. She called each candidate and she tried to explain the rules and also let them know, you know, where the signs were, but none of the signs were thrown out, Commissioner Banks. So.
Oh, all right, good.
No, we wouldn't do that, but. And
I'll visit the rest of it in my commissioner remarks about the Crescent City people that run in the Crescent City commissioners. Okay.
Yes,
thank you, man. Thank you.
Yeah, and on that same note, Commissioner, I talked to somebody today who said that gave permission for one of the candidates to put up a sign, and they took it down. And when they were asked about it, he said he didn't know what happened. So that's not the way to do it either. And also, let me just say, and I've seen on Facebook, you know, I think so-and-so is taking signs. Even, you know, gosh, don't be accusing people of taking signs unless you got a picture of them taking your sign. I know you might have a suspect, or, you know, who else would take them? I understand that, but don't be accusing people of taking your signs. You can get defamation of character. If you said I took your signs and I sue you and I say prove it, well, you're not going to be able to prove it. You know, defamation of character when you do that, unless you know for sure or have witnesses or something. Right. Be careful of that.
All the years that I've been sitting on this commission, we never had such a disturbance before about their candidates, people calling and asking the sitting commissioners about the candidates, how weird they're acting. But I'll visit the rest of it in my remarks. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, I have something for the chief.
Okay.
Well, one thing is a compliment, because the chief complimented Cindy and she has done great work. But I also want to recognize the chief for getting us into compliance with all the record procedures, and the fact that he's willing to take on a 20 years backlog. I know it is very complicated. It's like medical records. There's all kinds of things you have to check off. So thank you also to the chief. And then I just wanted to ask him real quickly, something happened at my house the other day that I haven't even had time to ask the chief about. Someone came to my door about, it was after 6 o'clock, saying that they were a tree service and telling me there was something in our yard that needed to be cut, blah, blah, blah. They didn't have a card. They just left me a number and some initials on a piece of paper. And I wonder if the chief has any thoughts for us about people who come to your door saying they want to do work, especially, you know, whatever.
My thoughts, Commissioner, I've dealt this in the past, and a lot of places you have to have a license to go door to door. And I don't personally and professionally. If you're a tree service or whatever, and you're good, I would advertise through the paper. Make sure you're licensed and bonded. And a lot of these people that come and knock on your doors aren't. And it's kind of like that unlicensed contractors, like when they go through the hurricanes and that kind of stuff. So. Right. I wouldn't use them. And I would also, I would ask people to give us a call so we can check on them when that does happen.
Right. And I'm going to forward you what I have, because frankly, I was a little nervous. It occurred to me that they might just be checking out our house, you know?
Could be.
So I will forward that to you, but I just wanted your thoughts, and also to make people aware that, you know, you got people coming up in your yard and your front porch and all that.
Commissioner, on that, just one more note, I want to pull on, a lot of these you will find they're unlicensed contractors or whatever. And if they do some work on your property and they do some damage, you're not going to be covered. So anybody listening, yeah, they want to make sure these people are licensed and insured before they do any work in the yard.
Thank you. That was all I
Yep.
had.
Thank you.
Sir.
Chief, you got anything else?
No, sir, that ended my report unless there's any other questions.
I don't. Thank you very much.
Thank-
Let's go on to the city commission, and Commissioner Banks, you said you had something.
Yes, sir. I'm very concerned. Now, I was told that a sitting commissioner wasn't supposed to get involved with the boards on any of the boards. Now, is that I don't want to use the word legal, but is that right for a commissioner? And I tell you why I was told that. I was told that because I was one that elected to go. I used the board I used to like to go sit in, and I used to sit in the very back row, code enforcement. I used to like to go to that meeting, but I was told it wasn't nice because if something ever come up, they're gonna say the commissioner is sitting in there, and that I might have persuaded, if you will, the other commissioners to vote the way that they vote. So I would like somebody, I don't know whether I can get our legal department to look into that, about commissioners sitting on different boards in the town.
It was also said at League
I
of
don't-
Cities one year when I attended that it was not a good idea for commissioners to be on boards and to visit
I was on
meetings.
two retirement boards, the Municipal Employees Retirement Board and the Fire Police Retirement Board, and the Planning and Zoning Board. I think I was on that for a meeting or two before I became mayor, and I had to resign from all of those boards.
It just don't seem right for me. It just, to me, and this person to me, I think us as commissioner, we need to be trying to make it easier for our employees, come up with some legislation to, like the chief. Now, we really need to work on an ordinance so he can kind of control that crowd. Our little country town police department cannot control a crowd like was in Crescent City the other week. It's impossible.
Right.
And bring everybody in you can, it's still impossible. So we need to put some stipulation or do something. I don't care if it's on private property. I think at the governing board of this town, we should be able to come up with that the individual would have to hire a legal security board if they're gonna have over X number of people. Because the minute something go down, they're gonna call the police department. The neighbor's gonna call the police department. And it's just like putting our officers in a haunted nest. When they go out there and you got 75 or 80 people and we got one officer standing up there to tell me y'all got to quit. That's ridiculous.
Well, I know if you got a permit, say you were going to have a gathering at North Park, Perry Banks Park, and it was over, whatever the trigger is, 50 people, 75 people, that you had to hire a police officer. You had to pay the overtime.
Right.
I believe that's still the case. So you need a permit. And if it's over a certain number of people, you have to have pay for an officer to be on the premises. But private property, I don't know about that. You know, there's usually parking issues and so on that go along with that when you have it on private property.
Right. Okay. Mr. Asbury?
Yes, sir.
Can you look in some of the things that I am bringing before the commission, if you would, please, to help us on that? I really would appreciate it. I don't know the legal parts of it, and so I don't want to get involved in that. But if you would very help us, I sure would appreciate it.
I sure will. I can answer one of your questions.
Okay.
Your main or your first concern is it is in our Florida Constitution, there is a prohibition. In other words, it's not legal for a board member to sit on another board in town unless the other board is strictly an advisory board. And there's some law that has come down through Florida cases that say if you serve on a board and you run for commission and become elected, that you automatically vacate your seat on that board. However, you can remain on that board in a ex officio capacity, which simply means you can go to the board meetings, you just don't have a vote or a vote, you don't have any authority on that board. But yes, that strictly advisory. If you put me on the advisory board to advise the city on wild animals running loose, and all of my board does is simply tell the commission what we think and what might be a solution, but we have no power to spend money or no power to make decisions. That's probably all right for me to serve on the commission also. It's a fine line. I think the better option is if you're elected commissioner to just be a commissioner, but that's totally up to the individuals involved to make that decision. But there is a prohibition against that if the board you're talking about has any authority at all, because you're right. The city commission is the ultimate Supreme Court, so to speak, in our little town. It's the highest. If Keith doesn't dig the hole right in my front yard, and I have a gripe with the public service group of people, and I can't get any relief from Michael about the hole in my yard, then ultimately I'm going to end up at the city commission, and y'all got to make the final say so on that.
Okay.
So that's basically the answer to that, I think.
Okay, my second one is this to you, Attorney Watt.
Commissioner Banks, if I can interrupt you for a second.
Go ahead.
One of the things we skipped over was public comment in the beginning.
Yes.
The open public comment, and we do have a public comment on this topic. So, Deb?
Yes, this comment comes from Linda Young, and it says, I would like to know why and how a city commissioner is being allowed to not only be on an advisory board to the commission, but it appears to be the head chair of that advisory board. Previous citizens sitting on a board have had to vacate their place on the board when elected to a city commission seat. I believe this warrants an investigation. That concludes the public comment.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay, may I go now? May I finish my?
Yeah, yes, please.
Cause see, I'm getting feedback. I don't know whether nobody else getting any feedback. I don't think, now this person to me, I don't think it's right for a commissioner to go to the employees. We hired a city manager. If you got anything that you suggest that a 1 hour employees need to do, go to that city manager. You ain't got no right because you're a commissioner to go rebuking nobody out. That's my comments.
Has this happened recently?
Yes, it's been happening. And the time it really need, I'm ashamed, it really need to quit. We never had nothing like this before. This need to be cut out. Thank you.
Okay.
Commissioner Banks?
Yes, sir.
We did have I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, I don't know any instances you're talking about. I don't know who's done that but we did have an instance of that in the past some years ago, where the mayor was going directly to the employees or department heads and instructing them how to dig the hole, so to speak. And I had to talk to them, heart-to-heart talk with the mayor, and he was a good friend of mine, and he ended up probably not being too good of a friend for a while, because I told him what he didn't want to hear. But you're exactly right. The commission and the mayor has no business instructing individual employees. In fact, that is a big no-no.
Hey.
Yeah, Harry, I assume you mean a previous mayor.
Oh, yes, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. And I got straight, even the perception, I think when I first got my feet wet as mayor, and I don't know if it was with the gas department or something, I said, I smell gas in the backyard. I might have a leak or something. Can you check it out? And Patrick said, you need to come to me for that. And I said, yeah, but I'm a customer. I'm a citizen. He said, not anymore. You're always mayor. You have to go through, even on something as benign as that, have to go through the city manager. So
Right.
I learned.
I did too, Mayor.
So if I
yes, Commissioner DeVito.
if I could request some clarification, what is Commissioner Banks referring to? Does he want to share that with us?
No, I really don't. I'm just pleading to the board by some people came to me, questioned me. Then I told them I'll bring it up to the board. They rather not get involved with the commissioners, period. So that's what I did. And no names, no blame. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Anybody else for commission comments or questions? All right.
Yes, Mayor, I have a couple things.
Yep.
I do. Okay, at the last meeting, the city manager announced to us that the hurricane shelter capacity was going to be reduced. And I took that up with the county and asked them if they could give any more information on that. They confirmed that was correct, that capacity was reduced. My concern is that I don't think that's really general public knowledge. We're at the height of hurricane season. And Mr. Suggs, the county administrator, sent me a flyer called Safer Florida. Michael had said the county and the state want people to find places to shelter. There's supposed to be an app called It's Safer Florida. It's a free web-based application. I don't know how many people have access to that, but I continue to be concerned about whether people will be able to access shelter if they need it, whether they even know that we're going to have reduced capacity. So I'm going to pass this Safer Florida thing on to Michael. And maybe he would put it in our boxes or get it to us. Because
maybe we can get that put on the website.
We can do that.
Yeah.
Right, and I'm just, if for those of us, if anyone is involved with, a charitable organization like with the center, because I just feel like there are people out there who don't even look at the city website who are probably the most vulnerable. So I'll make sure Michael has that, and hopefully we can all share it as much as we can. At the budget meeting, the first budget meeting, I asked the question about what our $500 was for chamber membership, and we didn't really have a clear answer on that. Apparently, we pay $500 for an enhanced level. And I asked about reports or minutes because apparently the mayor and the city manager go to meetings. I've never really heard anything about what's done there. And apparently we belong to this higher level, the public-private partnership. So the chamber told me that Jay Asbury, Deb Wazowitz, the city manager, the current city manager, Commissioner Banks and Commissioner West are on the list to get information from the chamber, but they offered to put me on the list as well. So I hope to be receiving it, but I do think it would be helpful when the city is represented on a board if we would get, you know, a short paragraph written report of what happened and what position is being taken or any information that pertains to our area. There was that. The other thing, and I talked to Michael about this, I am concerned that while we're meeting on Zoom, which I think is important, that we do not in Crescent City have the ability for people to call in. They can only submit written comment prior. And unlike in-person meetings, we haven't really made paper copies of the budget available. So before we vote on the final budget,
We've had, just to clarify, we have paper budgets. We've handed them out before on both occasions. They've been at the office here and on the website. So.
Right, but it's, I think I think we need to publicize it more, but as well, I would like to have the opportunity for people to call in.
I think the next time we have a meeting will probably be in person.
It'll be a moot point.
It might be a moot point, so.
Okay, well.
That's what we discussed. Okay. So we haven't discussed that since the last meeting, but yeah, that's what we discussed today. So.
Right, and then the last thing I have is, what is it? Oh, I noticed we didn't discuss the date of the final budget hearing. But on the copy of the ordinance today, there is a date for our next meeting. Should we not discuss that for our calendars?
It's the 24th.
I'm not even sure. I can't find it now. But I mean, should we not discuss that date and set the date of the next meeting?
It's been set. We set it for the 24th.
Well, the commission we didn't discuss that, did we? I don't think we did.
Talked about meeting date, but you can debate it again if you want to change the date.
I'm just saying.
Right, we have to be in a certain time frame.
Right. So, does
that work for you, Commissioner?
It's not ideal. I was basing my plans on when the date was for last year. I don't know how the date was arrived at, but I thought we should at least share it and come up with a convenient date for everyone. I mean, I don't think we discussed it.
Well, if that doesn't work, does it work for everybody else? What do we want to do here? We've got certain time.
It's fine with me.
And
it's fine with me.
Fine with me too.
It's a 5-minute meeting, hopefully. A special meeting just to second reading.
It's already been advertised.
Yes, it's already been advertised.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't have it on my calendar. Deb, are you going to send that out, or you want me to go ahead and punch it in now?
She's going to send it out.
Okay.
What time?
5 o'clock.
Good with me.
Yeah, it's the budget for the second hearing.
Right, but I mean, just for future reference, before we advertise a date for a special meeting, usually we discuss those things amongst the commissioners. People could have medical appointments or other, all kinds of plans. So I think we should discuss that as a commission before we advertise those dates.
Okay. Anybody else? I will say I got contacted today out of the blue by Mayor Terrell Hill Mayor Palaka. He is I guess the president of the League of Mayors this year,
Yeah,
which is quite an honor. And he wants me to be on his board. So I was surprised and honored, and I'll be looking maybe into doing that. But I tell you, Terrell Hill, him and I talk once in a while, and he's a smart guy. He is a
He
smart
sure
guy.
is. I gotta agree with you. And he's willing to work with anybody, give him.
Oh
a
yeah,
call.
oh yeah. He's a wealth of information and advice.
Mhm.
But anyway, that's all I have. We've done the public comment. We have nobody else. So if there's no other comment, this meeting is closed. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mayor.